the Ozzy Award-winning Oswego Sports Update. I'm Josh Kay, and Adam, today is the 10th anniversary of Scott Bartman's foul ball fiasco at Wrigley Field. You know what that means.
I'm Adam Rupsick. That means the curse goes on 10 more years. And tonight, Oswego Sports Update, fall seasons wind to an end, a crazy week in the NFL, and a much-anticipated NBA talk. Let's ball up. OSU starts now.
Welcome to the fourth season of Oswego Sports Update. I'm Blaze Hill.
I'm Joe Manganello.
And I'm Adam Rupsick. Join us every Monday night at 11 for
Live
Sports
Action.
Right here on WTOP 10.
Consistency. That's how the women's soccer team has been competing in the SUNYAC over the past month. And this past weekend was no different. For the third time in 3 weeks, the Lakers went 1-1 on the weekend, picking up a win against Fredonia, but falling to Buff State. Adam, the Lakers currently sit at 3-3 in the conference with 3 games to go. Will they make the SUNYAC playoffs?
Yeah, I think that's definitely in the question. Playing well this year on all levels. Sitting 5th overall in that SUNYAC spot. They got some grind games coming up, though. Yep. Playing against the 3, 4, and 6 teams in the SUNYAC. And they're going to be all on the road. But they're getting things done where they need to get it done. But tough games coming up.
Yeah, so if we take a look back at the 2 games that they had this past weekend, Friday they got the win against Fredonia. 2-1. Bailey Waterbury had a goal and assist. We'll talk to her a little bit later on in the show. And then Saturday, 1-0 loss in overtime. That's going to be a heartbreaker. One of the key stats that I'm looking at this season so far is they have almost 100 more shots on goal than the opponent. And in any sport, if you have double, triple, quadruple the amount of shots, you're going to have chances to score, and you're going to have chances to be successful. The only thing I'm looking for in these last 3 games, they're tough games, they're on the road, is consistency from the offense. Can they, put up enough to win 2 games instead of 1 a weekend? Or can they put up enough to have at least 2 goals, have a cushion in some of the games? So, that's something that I'm going to look forward to this coming week and see if they can get it done. Yeah,
the stats are there. Nikki Liaka, we talk about her every week for this team, leading the SUNYAC, almost averaging a goal a game, and that's, the great to ask for from a player. So they are getting it done. They just had senior day, their last game, so maybe that's a last push. Those seniors get out there, they want to win these last games, get a better seed in the playoffs, and we'll see how it goes. Yep. Well, the common story continues. Another week, and the Oswego State men's soccer team has yet to find a win for this season. Some hard-fought battles in the last game ending in a double overtime tie. Josh, is this victory ever going to happen?
I'd like to say yes. They've got 3 home games coming up, their last 3 SUNYAC games. They're not making the playoffs. That's something that it's a known fact. They're really struggling so far. There's a possibility. Their remaining opponents all very well alive in the playoff push for the SUNYAC. So I think there's a chance for them to pick up a win. They've gotten better consistency out of Mike Knabb. He's played a lot better. He's scored a couple of goals in the last couple of weeks. But really what it comes down to is offense. There's no firepower on this team. There's no go-to goal scorers. If you look in the professional level, you see guys like Clint Dempsey, Eddie Johnson, those guys that when the ball's on their foot, when it's their touch, they're the guys that put the ball in the net. And I don't really see, I don't want to throw people off and say I'm making comparisons to the MLS, but it is the fact that they don't have that goal scorer that people are accustomed to seeing, at least 1 or 2 guys from the Oswego team.
Here's a stat for you. This team has only scored more than 1 goal once this entire season.
Yeah.
And they lost the game, obviously.
Right.
They haven't 4, but they let in 4 goals. They lost 4-2. Other than that, they've only scored 1 or they've been shut out.
Right.
Even in the ties, double overtime, only scored 1 goal. So like you said, they got to score to get a chance to win. Sure. You're not going to win scoring no goals. Mike Knabb, the only player really doing anything, the only player in the top 10 of the SUNYAC and anything with shots. I think Fredonia was their last chance. Fredonia not good in the SUNYAC. They go over there, can't get it done. Now they play 3 teams that are decent in the SUNYAC.
Sure.
All have winning records. I don't think they do it.
If there is any silver lining to this whole situation, the last 3 games are at home. You're playing at home, get a good night's sleep before, good night's sleep after for the next game. There's something to be said about that. All right, moving over to women's volleyball. They picked up their first winning conference player for the weekend. While the Lakers do boast a record of 14-11, they are only 1-5 in conference. Okay, Adam, can they grab a spot in postseason play?
Well, they control their own destiny right now. They got a few games, triangular meet at home. and then they go to finish out the season at Buff State
Right.
for that final SUNYAC tournament. They got Brockport, Buff State, and Onion, I believe.
New Paltz.
New Paltz.
Yep.
Yep, my bad. New Paltz, the top team in the SUNYAC.
Yeah.
So they go in there really controlling their own destiny. These games in the middle, they really don't matter as much because they're not SUNYAC games, but they
Right.
got to get them ready to
Yep.
go in there. They need these 3 wins.
You know, it's got to be frustrating as a team to have success throughout the entire season, but not have success in the SUNYAC. You know, 14-11, that's a pretty good record. You look in conference, they're 2 spots out of the final playoff spot, and they didn't help themselves out at all this past weekend by only getting 1 win because in the final weekend that they have, they play the number 1 team and the number 2 team. Now, they do play Brockport. That's the 10 team. I think they need at least 2. If they can sweep this weekend, they'll be in good shape. But it comes down to, can they, develop enough firepower in the late game situations when it gets to the 4th game, when it gets to the 5th game, to really, make a run at a postseason spot.
And they have the statistics. They have the players to do it. We've talked about them as we go through. So, really, they control their own destiny. A developing story here on OSU. The Oswego Bucks high school football team has rattled off another win to bring their record to 2-4. Josh, can this team put together a historic 500 season?
Okay, Adam, let's talk about this for a second. I want to go back to their game last week. They won 56-8 over Watertown, and 56-8, you think, okay, that was a team effort. They really had all cylinders working. But no, it was Alex Mack, and he had 166 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. He's the reason why they have 2 wins. And get this, their last 2 games against Hudson Falls and then Fowler, both teams without wins on the season, they can go 4-4. I don't know what this structure will look like if there's still a possibility of them making, postseason play, high school football. But they're playing for something, and they're playing well right now.
Yeah, I mean, last year everyone was going nuts because they got their first win in forever.
Yeah.
And they come in this year, they got that win on homecoming we talked about. Had good feeling there. They're getting a few wins. It's fun, and that's what it's about in high school. Get out there and having a good time. And Alex Mack is playing great. Fowler, the team they play last, lost to this Watertown team that Oswego beat 56-8.
Yeah.
So these last 2 teams, I mean, they got to look for the win. 4-4, not a bad year.
Oswego football, really looking good. All right, coming up on Oswego Sports Update, we'll throw some stories up for grabs with Dan, whose last name is a direction north. Stay with us.
Welcome to the 4th season of Oswego Sports Update. I'm Blaze Hill.
I'm Joe Manganello.
And I'm Adam Rupsick. Join us every Monday night at 11 for
Live.
Sports.
Action.
Right here on WTOP 10.
Attention students and faculty. Avery Rental Properties is now renting for the next school year. Avery accommodates all group sizes, small or large. Avery Rental Properties. Make our house your home. 24-hour maintenance, garbage removal, snow removal, and off-street parking. Avery Rental Properties. 315-343-5005.
Every night before the show, me and the guys, we like to loosen up a little bit. Blue, 42, hike! Every now and then, Dan likes to take it a little too far. But hey, the show's all about competition, so we'll take it.
Stupid Dan with stupid football and stupid running.
The 2013 Louis B. O'Donnell Media Summit. Moderated by ESPN sports broadcaster in Class of '87 Steve Levy. Coming to Waterman Theater November 6th. Stay connected by visiting mediasummit.org for updates.
Welcome back to OSU. Let's throw some topics up for grabs with Dan North. Anything good for us over there, Danny?
Yeah, I'd say so. America's Game of the Week took place yesterday afternoon as the Patriots snuck by the New Orleans Saints on a miraculous game-winning drive by Tom Brady. Oh, and by the way, the Pats D completely shut down Saints tight end Jimmy Graham, who was averaging 137 yards per outing before this game. Which performance was more impressive to you guys?
Adam, I snuck in a Patriots story on you. I hope you're okay
Can't
with
get
it.
out of it.
Okay, well, let's talk about this. I think we'll agree on this one. I think it's impressive for Jimmy Graham. First of all, Tom Brady, he's 5th all-time in game-winning drives in the 4th quarter with 39. That, we're not going to dispute that. I know he's got some wide receivers that really haven't proven themselves, but we're going to go to Jimmy Graham. He's still 1st in yards after that week. He's 3rd in touchdowns, even after having 0 catches, 0 touchdowns, anything. That's impressive. They put Talib on him. And you know what? This Patriots defense, if they can stay healthy, even though the offense is still trying to find its way, they'll be all right.
Not much to say about this one. He kind of chop blocked me here with his Patriots.
I just got
topic.
excited.
But yeah, definitely you got to give the defense credit for shutting down Jimmy Graham. And the tight end, he was just ridiculous athlete.
Yeah.
And Drew Brees, it's a kid in a candy store to throw to. I mean, it's really easy to throw to him. They shut him down. Good job.
Yeah. Dan.
All right, well, after a crushing loss last week, the Dallas Cowboys picked up a win last night against their NFC rival Washington. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Eagles have won 2 in a row with the help of Nick Foles, who had an outstanding game with 4 total touchdowns. And the Giants, I think we all know what's going on with the Giants, guys. What team is the most built to withstand the NFC?
I think this is the easy one. Dallas Cowboys. I mean, looking at it, this team it's a good team. My boy, Tony Bromo, he's my man. I didn't like him at the beginning of the year. He's proved it to me. Against Peyton Manning, he threw for over 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. The guy can play. Des Bryant, heck of a guy, heck of a player. I like the Cowboys.
You can score a lot of points on the Dallas offense, but here's my issue with them. DeMarcus Ware is now going to be out 3 to 4 weeks. The defense is already depleted, so I don't really know where they're going to go. They play at Philadelphia, at Detroit. They're home against Minnesota, and then they have to go to New Orleans. That's 4 tough opponents to go up against. I like Philadelphia. They lead the league in rushing yards. They're in the top 10, top 15 in passing yards. They do give up a lot of points, but having a quarterback controversy with 2 good quarterbacks, I know a lot of people don't like to think it's a good thing, but Nick Foles, if he puts pressure on Vic to perform at a higher level, this team's going to be really successful. LaShawn McCoy, defense struggles, but in a league where it's all about passing and it's all about getting those yards, I got to like Philadelphia in this one.
I mean, yeah, they are 2 starting quarterbacks in Philadelphia, but my boy Bromo. Dan?
Sticking with football, with the new concussion rules in effect in the NFL, players are focusing on tackling below the waist, leaving some to think that this may cause more leg injuries. Are we just overthinking this, or could players actually be at risk of getting hurt because of this rule?
Well, Adam, let me pose this question to you. With the new changes, everyone's more aware of the head injuries. They're trying to have better form tackling. I think it is causing more injuries, but tell me why it's not. If you think that, if you don't, why have we gone this route, and why are people talking about it so late in the season?
I think it's definitely causing less. I mean, maybe that leg injury yesterday, Cobb, wasn't a good example of it.
Sure.
But I think players are definitely getting away from the head, and I think those are the most dangerous injuries. I mean, it does stink to tear an ACL and be out, but it's better than having a concussion and not knowing who you are for a week, Yeah. So I really think players are starting to aim down. They are professionals. It's just they got to get used to it. It's a new thing. They've been taught all their lives something different. Now they need a little more target zone. They bring it up from the legs now. Under the neck, I think that whole torso area is going to be the target zone now. Anything else should be a penalty, and players will start realizing that, start training for that, and get better at it as the years go, leading to less injuries.
Well, let me play devil's advocate on this one. It is limiting the number of head injuries. Head injuries can be career-ending, and we know all the repercussions of that. But if you go at a guy's knee or you go at his ankle, and it twists in the wrong way, those could also be career-ending injuries too. So are we just getting to the point where NFL is becoming more of a touch, like a flag football kind of sport? Because that's the way we're going.
Target zone.
Got to hit correctly.
Yeah.
Dan.
Switching it up to baseball, if you saw last night, the Boston Red Sox made a late game comeback against the Detroit Tigers on the back of David Ortiz. Ortiz bombed a grand slam, which just adds to his great resume in October. As you may remember, Reggie Jackson once hit 3 home runs in the 1977 World Series, earning him the name of Mr. October. Is Ortiz becoming the new Mr. October, guys?
Well, before we answer that question, Adam, I loved that Cop's reaction in the bullpen. That was priceless. But what I do have to say is it's a very close argument. Both have compelling stats that line up. Ortiz, he's been on the Red Sox. That's the only team he's played for. Reggie Jackson, he moved around. He won 6 titles. Ortiz only had 2. I don't know. It's close. I may lean Reggie.
I think I'm going to go Reggie as well. The stacks are almost identical.
Yeah.
The only really argument I have for Reggie Jackson was he was not in the steroid era. Who knows what's going to come out with David Ortiz? Had a bad year last year, comes out has a good year this year. Maybe there's something going on.
Well, I mean, taking a look at this, taking a look at the stats that we're seeing on the board. The only categories that Reggie leads in are home runs, hits, and games played. And if the Sox do well the rest of the playoffs, he'll eclipse that number if they're able to win. What was more memorable, though? 3 times David Ortiz has had a game-tying grand slam, or Reggie Jackson's 3 home runs in 1 game to clinch the World Series for the Yankees. I got to go Yankees, because he won 6. He's been around, and he went through the steroid era, the non-steroid era. I don't know. I got to say Reggie still. Ortiz is close. If he does this again in the World Series, he may surpass him. But
I was just going to say, depending how they end this year, if they make a triumphant run to the World Series and he keeps killing it for them, it might be a change of opinion.
But Reggie played on 5 teams, though. Can that hurt him, or does that help him that he was able to do it in multiple teams?
I mean, it shows he's versatile.
Sure.
Who knows? You see a lot of players, good players, trade and go away. Deplete. We'll see.
He may be Mr. October, but Mr. November will always be Derek Jeter. All right, up next, we'll catch up with our Athlete of the Week. Stay tuned. This is OSU.
Derek Jeter.
Attention students and faculty. Avery Rental Properties is now renting for the next school year. Avery accommodates all group sizes, small or large. Avery Rental Properties. Make our house your home. 24-hour maintenance, garbage removal, snow removal, and off-street parking. Avery Rental Properties. 315-343-5005.
The 2013 Louis B. O'Donnell Media Summit. Moderated by ESPN sports broadcaster and class of '87 Steve Levy. Coming to Waterman Theater November 6th. Stay connected by visiting mediasummit.org for updates.
I took a trip to Elkhart, Indiana today. Elkhart's a place that has lost jobs faster than anywhere else in America. And the people who've lost them have no idea what to do or who to turn to. In fact, local TV stations have started running public service announcements that tell people where to find food banks, even as the food banks don't have enough to meet the demand.
My husband! Where's my husband? Stop. What's she doing? 2, she was a passenger. I was T-boned on the passenger side.
We just had some wine. I wasn't even drunk. I was just buzzed.
What? You were just buzzed? Well, so you didn't tell us that. In that case, she's just fine.
Yeah. I'm fine.
Really?
No, not really.
Buzz driving. Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal.
Welcome back to Oswego Sports Update. Adam and I are now joined by Oswego State soccer star Bailey Waterbury. Bailey, thank you so much for joining us. So let's start by asking. We talked, one of our first things at the beginning of the show was about how you guys have been consistent this year. You've won 1 game, and you've lost 1 game in most of the weekends. This is a tough conference. How do you guys manage so far?
We're doing all right. I think we have a really dynamic team this year. It's been a tough conference. Everyone's pretty even, and I think that when we're getting to post-play, it's going to be kind of messy who moves on right now.
Going into these last 3 games, tough ones on the road. Really needed to get a good seed in the playoff bracket. What's your guys' focus going in here?
We've been working hard at practice this week. We're really focusing on trying to finish. We're really strong defensively, and we have Nikki Liadka leading us up the top, so hopefully we can produce some goals this weekend and come out with a win. We really need 1 or 2 wins this weekend.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you about Nikki. What does her leadership bring? Because obviously she's a senior and she's a veteran on the team. What does her leadership bring to you guys and to the whole team?
I mean, she's been a leader even since my freshman year. She was a junior captain, and this year she's stepping up even more, losing Shelly Beatmans. She's had to produce more goals for us, and she does really well on the field, commanding everyone. And she, although she is a star forward, she also will drop back and play defense and midfield when we get up, and that really helps us out for commanding all over the field.
Sure.
Interesting one here. Take Nikki Liadka out of the equation. What's the best part of your guys' team?
Best part of our game?
As a team, as a whole.
As a team, I think we're becoming a lot closer this year. We had a really small team last year. We only had 17, and that's our roster. We have much more this year, so we have a lot of options, and I think it helps when we have a longer bench than other people.
So something that we talked about before the show started was there's a lot of soccer in your blood. Your mom, your dad. Your mom's a coach actually at Plattsburgh, you said. How is that dynamic playing against her and having to go up against her and all the different family rivalries?
It's definitely a lot of fun. We're a lot more competitive than people think. I think people think it's a lot of fun and games. Let's go out to dinner after, but we take it really seriously. It's her career, and it's one of the things I love most. So I look forward to playing Plattsburgh every year, but it's definitely nerve-wracking for both of us.
It's just another game, but an interesting one. Now let's take off the soccer field at SUNY Oswego. Major, what you like to do when you're not playing soccer?
What I like to do when I'm not playing soccer, I'm on a broomball team here. I like to do that. I miss hockey, but it's nice to be on the ice a little bit. And then I'm a health and wellness management major. And I also have an athletic coaching minor, so I might keep it in the blood. We'll see.
I think that's the common thread between all three of us, that athletic coaching minor. Last question. What will it take for you guys to make a run in the postseason this year? 3 games left. It's like you said, it's going to be messy around the around playoff time. What do you think you guys can do to make a run?
I think that we need to become more of a second half team. Right now, we've been playing great first halves, and we've kind of been losing it a little bit towards the second half. So I'm hoping that we peak at the right time here, and that it'll all fall into place.
Awesome. Well, Bailey, thank you so much for joining us. We always appreciate the athletes coming out and give us kind of an inside scoop of their life and their team as well. So we thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, well, coming up on Oswego Sports Update, we will go back over to Dan, who will give us some patience who need our expert help. This is OSU.
Honey, the credit fairy doesn't exist.
What?
It's make-believe. Nobody left anything under your pillow.
If there's no credit fairy, then we'll make our credit score go up.
We will, by doing things like paying our bills on time.
There's no magic to improving your credit, but there's help, and it's free. Go to creditfairy.org.
What?
Down 70 to 35, and the Cougars were getting smoked like a cheap cigar.
Attention students and faculty. Avery Rental Properties is now renting for the next school year. Avery accommodates all group sizes, small or large. Avery Rental Properties. Make our house your home. 24-hour maintenance, garbage removal, snow removal, and off-street parking. Avery Rental Properties. 315-343-5005.
The 2013 Louis B. O'Donnell Media Summit. Moderated by ESPN sports broadcaster and class of '87 Steve Levy. Coming to Waterman Theater November 6th. Stay connected by visiting mediasummit.org for updates.
Welcome back. Hey, Dan, how you doing over there? Who else needs our expert help?
Well, I'm doing great, but you might want to check on those Houston Texans. They're falling apart and have lost 4 games in a row. Quarterback Matt Schaub got hurt last night against the Rams, who, by the way, embarrassed the Texans. A lot of issues going on in Houston, and specifically their quarterback situation. How do they fix it?
Well, one of the telling stats, and this is just mind-blowing, Adam, is 5 pick sixes in the last 5 games. I don't even know how that's plausible for a team, and they were booing Matt Schaub. Now, I just think that's classless. I think in a situation like this, you have to start from the bottom and work your way up. What does that mean? Well, it means go with the quarterback. It means give the ball to Arian Foster more. He's your best player. And then on the defensive side, you got to be able to stop someone.
Yeah, I'd like to start off with the fans as well. Really booing your starting quarterback. If he was doing good this year, you'd think he's the greatest of all time. I mean, come on with that. That was a little classless. I wasn't happy when I saw that. But they got to get through it. J.J. Watt maybe steps up on defense. They're not making the playoffs this year. Figure out the QB situation. Figure it out.
Dan?
New England Patriots might have won in miraculous fashion yesterday, but they're still awaiting the comeback of star tight end Rob Gronkowski. Brady threw for only 1 touchdown again yesterday, and my question to you is, can the Patriots keep winning games without their star tight end?
I mean, they beat the Saints, who are undefeated.
Sure.
So that's a feat in itself. Without Gronkowski, he's got to be healthy to come back. I mean, you can't come back hurt. That's not going to help anything. So definitely come back healthy.
As much as I don't like to say this, I think it's about the money, and it's the guaranteed money. If he comes back too early, he's injured. He doesn't get the max contract extension. If he comes back and he's healthy, he gets what he's owed. You know, they've got a better shot.
Yeah.
He's got to play, though. The Patriots need him to play if they want to compete with Denver. Plain and simple. Dan, what do you got?
Finally, we move to the NBA. After making his debut since the big knee injury, star point guard Derrick Rose of the Chicago Bulls sat out of Saturday's preseason game because of soreness in his knee. He says that he's fine, and the coaching staff says it's just a precaution. Guys, should the Bulls be concerned about their star point guard if they're looking to make a championship run?
Yes, it's the way he plays the game. That's my issue, and I don't think that's going to be correctable. I don't sign him when his deal's up for a long term.
He plays too hard.
Yeah.
Plays too hard for a torn ACL.
Yeah.
All right, the show is almost over. With about 2 minutes to go, we're coming down to the wire. Interesting NLCS. Is one going to get back to St. Louis?
You know what? I don't think so. I think St. Louis is going to rebound. I believe, if Dan will update us in a little bit, they lost tonight, so they'll be able to bounce back in the next coming games. The Kansas City Chiefs broke the record for the loudest outdoor stadium noise volume of 137.57 decibels. What's the loudest game you've ever been to, Adam?
I'm going to say Bills-Redskins. I was a little boy.
Very good.
In the latest AP Top 25, the SEC dominates with 8 teams ranked. Impressed?
Not anymore. I used to be when this was something new, but this has been the trend for the last 3-4 years, and I don't really think it's something that's going to continue, once we start to see the playoff system. Carmelo Anthony took a huge risk in deciding not to have surgery to repair a tear in his left shoulder. Good decision?
He's a ball player. He's born to be a ball player.
All right, Dan, where did we mess up?
All right, Josh. It is Steve Bartman, not Scott Bartman. And
Adam, I screwed up that intro? Oh, God.
Adam, the men's soccer team scored more than 1 goal twice. New Paltz and Naz, 3-2 loss in both. And the football game, Chargers leaving 16-9 with 2 minutes left in the game. Kind of surprised there. I thought the Colts would blow them out here, but good for the Chargers, I guess.
You know what? I'm happy with that score. It's a low-scoring game. That means my fantasy team is doing well. Adam, I can't believe we made 3 mistakes.
That's a lot.
That's like a record?
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you, what are you watching this week?
I haven't made more than 3 mistakes in my 3 years on the show.
Oh, my goodness.
That's a stat.
What are you watching this week?
This week, I'm watching preseason NBA, so my fantasy NBA team can be great.
He's talking a little smack, ladies and gentlemen. I am watching the rest of the MLB playoffs. I'm interested to see what David Ortiz can do.
Well, that's all we have time for tonight on Oswego Sports Update. Thanks for joining us here on WTOP 10. Have a great week and come back next week for another edition of the best sports banner around.
So for Brian Toschi, the creator of OSU, Blaze Hill, Matt Bishop, and Pat Malowski, the producers, and for Dan North, Adam Rupsick, and everyone else here at OSU, I'm Josh Kay saying have a good night, Laker fans.